All right, boys and girls, today is story time. Today is February the 22nd of 2022, and we're going to be reading a couple of pages from this book, African American History, a child's introduction to African American history. Let's turn to where we left off yesterday. I hope I don't have a rough day again. Okay, we're going to be working on fluency, which means how easily we read, how smooth we read, and how accurately we read. We're going to be reading pages 38 and 39, and we're going to give ourselves 10 minutes. We're going to give ourselves 10 minutes, okay? Artists of Note, Part 1. Thomas Dorsey. Thomas Dorsey was a popular blues musician. He often performed as Georgia Tom in a duo with another entertainer named Tampa Red. He wrote more than 400 jazz and blues songs, some of which became popular hits. In 1932, he combined his earlier style with the religious message found in traditional hymns and created a new style. It caught on so fast in black churches that such songs were sometimes called Dorseys. His most famous songs, Take My Hand, Precious Lord, and Peace in the Valley, have been sung by performers all over the world. He is known as the father of black gospel music. Marian Anderson. A brilliant singer, Marian Anderson had been welcomed by audiences around the country and across Europe by 1939. But in the capital of her own country, she was turned away. At the concert doors, she had planned to appear at Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C., but an organization called the Daughters of the American Revolution refused to let her sing there. The First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, resigned from the group in protest and helped arrange for Anderson to sing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial instead. On Easter Sunday, April 9th, 1939, Anderson gave one of the most famous concerts of that time. She performed for 75,000 people while millions more listened on the radio. On January the 7th, 1955, she became the first black artist to sing at the Metropolitan Opera in New York City. Sorry about the noise in the background. Gwendolyn Brooks. James Weldon Johnson encouraged writer Gwendolyn Brooks when she was still in high school. She had already begun to publish her poetry in children's magazines and the Chicago Defender. After studying at Wilson Junior College, she was noticed by Langston Hughes, who became her mentor as she continued to develop her writing skills. She composed poems in many different styles, including ballads, sonnets, and verse inspired by the blues. Her subjects were often drawn from her experiences as a resident of Chicago's South Side. The famous author Richard Wright praised her first collection, A Street in Bronzeville. Her second book, Annie Allen, followed the adventures of a young black woman in Chicago. It earned Brooks the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry in 1950. She was the first African American to win the award. In 1968, she became the Poet Laureate of Illinois and held title until her death in 2000. Next, a Hollywood first. Hattie McDaniel began acting and singing professionally when she was still in high school. She made her way from Denver to Hollywood, where she began to land small roles in musical films. After about 10 years, she won the part that secured her a place in history. In 1940, she was awarded a Best Supporting Actress Oscar for her role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind. She was the first African American to ever win an Academy Award. Good roles for Black actors were few and far between, even for performers as talented as McDaniel, making it even harder. The NAACP had asked her to turn down roles that were unrealistic or made fun of Black people. McDaniel died in 1952 after an up-and-down career. She has since been awarded a star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame and was also honored on a U.S. postage stamp. Invisible No More. Ralph Ellison dreamed of writing symphonies. He left Oklahoma and headed off to Tuskegee Institute, where he majored in music and played the trumpet. Before he began his senior year, he went to New York in hopes of raising money for school. There, he met Richard Wright and left his dreams of music behind. Ellison became a writer instead, producing reviews, essays, and short stories. 16 years after arriving in New York, he published a novel called Invisible Man. It won the National Book Award, the first time the honor was given to a Black writer. Ellison also wrote 2 celebrated books of nonfiction, but he is best known for Invisible Man, which is widely considered one of the finest American novels ever written. Jacob Lawrence. Jacob Lawrence was one of the most celebrated African American painters of the 20th century. Born in 1917 in Atlantic City, New Jersey, he first took art classes while growing up in Harlem. He was only 23 when he completed his Migration series, widely considered a masterpiece. The series is a sequence of 60 paintings showing the journey of African Americans from the South to the North. In 1942, it was shown at the Downtown Gallery in New York City, making Lawrence the first Black artist to be represented by a major New York gallery. Many of Lawrence's best-known works, like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, consist of a series of panels that tell a story when viewed together. Today, museums around the country include his paintings in their permanent collections. Thank you so much for reading with me. We did meet our time limit. We are under 10 minutes. And I also want to share with you another resource. If you look on YouTube and you look for a video titled Harriet Tubman Stand Up, you will see a beautiful performance by African American young ladies, little girls. It's such a beautiful dance performance. I just saw that and I wanted to share that with you, so I hope you will go watch that. And tomorrow, tune in. We will be reading about achievements in sports. These are the 2 pages we will be reading tomorrow, pages 40 and 41. So thank you so much for tuning into today's read from A Child's Introduction to African American History. Tune in tomorrow.